Hey guys, welcome back to another Genshin discussion video. The title of this video may be familiar to some of you. That's because by the time you see this, I released a similar video in April of 2022 last year with the same name. I wanted to revisit this topic since a lot has happened to Genshin throughout the past year. New content, new systems, new characters, and of course Dendro being playable now. Objectively speaking, the game is in a better spot now than it was before, but as per usual, there's still a lot of stuff the game could stand to benefit from, and I was like, why not? I made a ton of overly critical videos in the past few weeks, so let's do something more chill. Today we'll be going over 5 more things Genshin Impact desperately needs. Oh, by the way, for those of you who didn't watch the first one, I highly recommend you do so as I won't be repeating anything in this video. These will be new ideas I propose to the game. If you're looking for something else to watch after this video, you can check that one out too. Now, unlike the first episode, instead of dividing this into 5 mechanics and 5 content ideas, I'm going to stick to just 5 and go more in depth on each one because I have a few ideas proposed for each one myself rather than simply pointing out what's wrong with them. Let's get started. The first one I want to go over is some quality of life improvements for artifacts. Yes, this overlaps with the reworked artifact system idea I had before, but I had different things this time. As I'm sure you all know, artifacts comprise the entirety of your character's progression once you finish their quote-unquote guaranteed upgrades in the form of their weapon and talents, and it really sucks. You can spend hundreds, if not thousands of resin on a single character grinding in the same artifact domain day after day, and once you're done, you have to go back in to work on your next character, and the cycle repeats itself until the end of time. On one hand, it gives us something to do every day, which is true, but on the other hand, it's a really tedious and mind-numbing routine we do every day, mostly because there's nothing better to do with that resin. Assuming we act under the assumption that the artifact system will stay as is, and no adjustments will be made to lower the number of RNG layers, then here's what I think they should do. 1. Allow some way to reset artifacts. The most frustrating element about artifact farming is when you actually get your hands on a workable piece with the right substats, but then get screwed over when all the upgrades go to the one stat you don't want. Meaning even if you manage to get good ones, those good ones can quickly turn into bad ones if you're unlucky, and most of the time you will be. Everyone's aware of the artifact strongbox in the alchemy workbench. It allows you to exchange 3 junk artifacts for a new one. That's all well and good, better than nothing, but I would rather they do away with that entirely and replace it with an item or something that lets you reset an artifact's level back to 1. If it was a 3-line starter, then it would also give you a chance to reroll the 4th substat. You would still have to go through the hassle of getting lucky with your upgrades and then how much upgrade you get per upgrade, but at the very least, it spares you the heartbreak of going through dozens of artifacts and get a potential good one only to be blueballed when it turns into garbage. More aggravating is that there seems to be an exchange or reset for everything except artifacts. With Dust of Azoth, you can exchange elemental gemstones into another element, like a pyro gemstone, chunk, or fragment into a cryo one, or you can swap out one boss ascension material for another. Technically, you can swap junk artifacts for another, but I would very much rather they give us the option to trade, 10 artifacts to reset an existing one's level to 1 so we could start over. That would be better than the artifact strongbox. Number 2, artifact selection would be nice. You're seeing a trend, right? Personally, I don't mind randomness in upgrading equipment. A lot of games have that. But at a certain point, it goes from a bit of a lucky rush to downright annoying. It's one thing if randomness affects one aspect of equipment, but if it affects everything, that actively ruins the experience. So if hypothetically we assume all of the properties of artifacts remain intact, such as a random main stat, random substats, random number of substats, random upgrades, and random amount of upgrades, what should remain consistent is the means of acquisition, hence artifact selection. Every domain can give you 2 artifacts, but in virtually all of them, you're only really looking for one or the other, seldom both. Even if you are looking for both, you're usually looking for only one at a particular moment. If they're unwilling to outright give players on-demand choice at any time, they can do it the way they do talent and weapon material domains by making it based on the day of the week. For example, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday you get the Shimenawa artifacts, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday you get EOSF. The overall goal of these changes is to bring agency into the hands of players enough to where they feel like they're in control of what they want to accomplish and the pace at which they can accomplish it. Agency is always a touchy subject, given that not every game has to be Minecraft levels of open-endedness, but what makes RPGs so enjoyable is that the player can decide how they want to play the game within its constraints, whether you want to play ABC Party or XYZ, use Weapon 1 versus Weapon 2. Artifacts are the only progression engine that doesn't have this, attributed to why everyone finds it such a chore to complete by giving some semblance of agency to the player that alleviates the tedium of it. Now, let's talk banners. The standard banner has been a sore spot for Genshin from day 1. Finally, in version 3, new 5 stars were added to the permanent pool, Tignati and Dia. The latter unfortunately isn't really much of an achievement in light of, all the issues in her kit, but it's better than nothing. While they did add new 5 stars to the banner, they're not doing enough of it. Another thing Genshin desperately needs is an expansion of the standard banner. As a veteran gacha player, I wholeheartedly understand the reasons behind omitting characters from permanent access. The biggest being oversaturation. If you look at older gachas like Fire Emblem Heroes, Fate Grand Order, Brave Exvius, Brave Frontier, that's a classic. Holy mother, you got like thousands of units, and with the power creep those games have, 5 stars from 3 years ago would be 3 stars today, maybe even 2. With no form of set rotation, long-standing gachas reach a threshold where they really should phase out older, more obsolete characters, but don't want to do that out of consideration for potential new players who want to get those old units for whatever reason, maybe collector's sake. Genshin faces a different issue. They're adamant about not moving 5-star characters or weapons to the standard banner. I'm fully aware they're mostly doing it to induce FOMO, but let's leave business politics out of this for a moment and just cover it from a game design perspective. At first, it wasn't a big deal. MiHoYo releases 1 or 2 new characters a month if that, a far lower frequency than other games. But as we're well into year 3 of Genshin, it's becoming more logistically challenging to accommodate every character. A Reddit user by the name of Rapid Fresh made a post at the start of April detailing the number of patches since the last banner for a 5-star, and Eula hasn't had a rerun in over a year, which someone pointed out is longer than how long Enkanomiya has been out for, with Kazuha and Klee tied at 7, Zhongli and Kokomi tied at 6, so on and so forth. As more and more 5 stars come out, it will get more and more congested and backed up. Eventually, we'll have to start doing 3 event banners every rotation, then 4, then 5, just to give everyone a chance to pull for every character. An easy solution to this that retains the feeling of urgency in getting a 5-star unit or weapon would be to either implement a time rotation or a deadline period. The time rotation thing they're already sort of doing, what with how every version has a featured 5-star and then 3 banners of reruns, but I was mostly referring to how they can do that for the standard pool, where every week or 2 weeks they add 3 characters to the standard banner that shuffle around. That approach can add some much needed incentive for players to go for quaint fates that you get from ascending characters and the like, without having to feature however many event banners per cycle they're doing right now. The deadline period is the traditional approach, but after a length of time. For example, after a unit has been out for 12 to 18 months, they're added to the standard pool, so characters like Ganyu, Hu Tao, Xiao, Child, etc. should be permanently obtainable by now. If they want to preserve the significance of plot-relevant characters like Venti and Zhongli, they can exclude them. Either way, something has to be done to prevent instances where we haven't had a rerun of a character in over a year. That's just unacceptable. Moving on, 5-star weapons. They really should be obtainable in-game. Maybe not banner ones, but MiHoYo needs to add some better free-to-play equipment. As it stands, there is no feasible way to obtain a single 5-star weapon outside of pulling for one. None whatsoever. I understand we already have a decent array of 4-star weapons that are just as good if not better than 5-star ones, but it would be nice to have some available in-game. In my video on bosses a couple weeks ago, I proposed making bosses drop fragments or crafting materials that can eventually be forged into a 5-star weapon. If I could choose, I would have all the generic 5-star weapons be taken out of banner circulation and brought into the game. And if there's any concern over said generics being really overpowered, they can nerf them as needed, that being the Skyward series or stuff like the Golden Majesty weapons or Wolf's Gravestone. You know, the weapons that don't really have a personal user compared to how they are now. I tend to get comments from players who criticize my point that Genshin is easy by saying it's only easy for me because I'm a whale who can afford weapons, and the more I think about it, that is pretty true. I'd imagine if all of my units had only 4-star weapons, that would make the game more challenging, but rather than continue to widen the gap between those with and those without, they should aim to bridge that gap by giving free-to-plays a chance at some 5-star weapons. While we're on that, they really need to make acquiring weapons more generous altogether. Getting a 5-star weapon may be even more expensive than the very character it's intended to be used on because the hard pity requires that you get 2 off-banner 5 stars for a guarantee instead of 1. And the rate is only like, an infinitesimal 0.1% higher. Weapons are awful to pull for even though many of them are designed to supplement the accompanying character. Am I implying they need their personal weapon to function at their best? No. But it's annoying that a weapon of all things costs more than the characters, much less the fact you have no way of getting them in-game. I don't care if they make you take 20 weeks to get one 5-star weapon. It's not really the weapon itself that matters, more so the feeling of gradual progression towards the milestone that would enhance the game's experience. Players want something to work towards, and this could be one of the best ways to do it. Continuing on with that gradual progression, we need more things to do on a daily basis. Someone by the username of Cherub made a very relatable comment in the first episode. I say this often, Genshin isn't made to be a game you play for 8 hours every day, but I'd sure as hell would like to play for more than 30 minutes every day. This right here. I'm gonna go off brand for a moment. It pisses me off to no end whenever someone says Genshin isn't meant to be played 8 hours a day, get a life, touch grass. Listen, I know that. Every time I say there needs to be more endgame content or the game needs more stuff to do, I'm not saying they should make it a high maintenance game you have to know life like World of Warcraft. The problem isn't that Genshin doesn't have a lot of stuff to do, it's that it has no stuff to do. Sharab wasn't exaggerating. You can complete all your daily stuff and then be left with nothing productive to do in 30 minutes. Commissions take all but 10 minutes, then using your resin takes another like 10, then whatever mob route you want to farm takes 10 minutes. Maybe you can stretch it to an hour. That's an abysmally low amount of daily content to have in the game that a good number of players drop pretty serious money on. Even gachas that are mobile exclusive have more content than this. As for what kind of daily content to add, that can get tricky, cause most of the time that just amounts to more grinding. If they have the cost of all resin-based activities, that would double the amount of time you would have to spend grinding. That doesn't really make the game more enjoyable to play, it just makes it take longer to do your dailies. So I'm actually not quite sure what they should implement. I had half a mind for them to add a monthly progression campaign, not unlike Battle Pass, where you grind mobs or do quests to fill up a bar that leads to free goodies. They can make a start at the beginning of every month and make it so only one level is unlocked per day. That way you can't binge it all on the first day, but those who missed a few days can make up for lost time by grinding extra on the weekend or something. Heck, if they wanted to, they can make this how you get 5-star weapons. Or, you know, I'm just spitballing here. Maybe give us some more free pulse mihoyo? That would be really nice. Anyways, the last thing I think they should add is some form of endless play. Last point was for daily content, but Genshin would also benefit from having something you can do for as long as you want. Hear me out. Yes, it's a gacha game, and by nature the genre is known for limited playtime as is any mobile game. All the same, unlike mobile exclusive gachas, Genshin's available on home console and PC, so it would be in their best interest to accommodate that demographic who tends to spend more than 30 minutes a day. miHoYo's official statement addressing the lack of new endgame content like Spiral Abyss was out of concern for players developing anxiety, which is the stupidest thing I've heard in a game that doesn't even have a PvP. But I'll humor them for a moment. An example of endless play would be like a procedurally generated dungeon with infinite floors that get progressively more and more difficult until the player eventually wipes. Conveniently, Spiral Abyss already has a foundation for this. The room doesn't change, it's just new enemies that spawn with increasingly higher stats. Now, to account for this apparent anxiety that likely doesn't even exist, we can make it so it yields no rewards, with the only reason for players doing this being personal achievement. Therefore, those who don't want to participate don't miss out on anything. What's interesting is that Genshin actually has an esports scene in China where you basically have 2 players choose 8 characters and then each player or team bans characters from the opposing team and forces each other to use the remaining units to complete Spiral Abyss as fast as humanly possible. I think that's a really cool idea that would be awesome to see in the West. Of course, there's no actual in-game reward for doing this, but it throws a wrench into the monotony of the game and gives you a reason to try out new characters and new parties instead of defaulting to the same dozen or so every run. Regardless of what form it takes, Genshin needs something for players to do or enjoy. The fact that such a vast, expansive open-world action RPG realistically has only 30 minutes of daily playtime is absurd. So much wasted potential that can make the game way more enjoyable to play, which would indirectly boost player satisfaction, which would ultimately boost revenue. If the game is so concerned about turning a profit, they really should be looking at more long-term solutions to these things. But obviously we've been coping for what, 2.5 years at this point, so might as well keep coping. Makes for a fun video though. Okay, so that's my 5 for today. Let me know in the comments what 5 things you think Genshin Impact needs, and share possible solutions if you can. For now, if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Vars, join my Discord server, and remember to watch my video from last year if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Take care.